Hey guys, welcome back to my channel if you've been here before, and if you haven't, welcome to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be talking about the top 5 mistakes that I have made or sometimes still make as a tarot reader. Most of these I want to say I used to do back when I first started reading tarot about probably close to 7 months now, but some of them I'm still a bit guilty of. And I'm curious to know if any of you guys make these tarot tisks also, or what other kind of mistakes, if you want to call them mistakes, do you guys make or have you made back when you really first started getting into tarot. Okay, so my number one is starting off with difficult spreads. So I still remember back when I first used to use the cards, I would just open the guidebook, and obviously I had no idea what I was doing, so I would just follow along with the guidebook, and there are always spreads in the guidebooks. And what is the one common spread that is usually in every single tarot deck guidebook? The Celtic Cross. So that was actually the first spread that I ever did without any knowledge whatsoever. I probably attempted to do that spread within the first 5 minutes of ever holding tarot cards. So that was a big mistake on my part because I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I had zero knowledge of what the cards meant, or even like the placement of the cards, what each card is representing in the position that it's in the spread. But I definitely feel like since then I have learned to stick with spreads that I feel like are more on my level of where I am right now, and spreads that I know I can handle right now. Mistake number 2 is not journaling after I do a reading for myself. And this is a mistake that I still tend to make because I just feel like in the moment when I'm doing the reading that I will remember this reading. I'll remember all of the cards that I got and the message that I'm getting, and just to see, later, a couple days from now, I'll be able to look back on it and see what unfolds. But yeah, I don't need to journal it down. It's fine. I'll remember. And then days go by and I forget everything. I'm unable to remember the cards that I got in the reading. The message that I received is a little foggy because I got it a week ago, and I kick myself in the butt every time I do not journal my own personal readings. Number 3 is just judging the cards on a surface level when I'm doing a reading. And what I mean by that is I have a hard time as a new reader. Trusting my intuition is still something that I need to work on. So when I'm doing a reading and I lay the cards out in front of me, I don't really give myself enough time to just sit there, look at the cards, let it sink in on what they could be telling me before I'm already reaching for the guidebook and wanting to look up the meaning, the main meaning, if you want to call it, for each of the cards. And I still do this one to this day because, like I said, it's still a learning curve for me with trusting my intuition and not relying so heavily on what the books say the cards are telling me. So I definitely need to work on looking at the cards and trying to get to the deeper meaning of what they're trying to tell me, instead of just like the surface level meaning for each of the cards. Number 4 is one that I think that a lot of us can relate to, which is doing a reading for yourself, not liking the cards that you got, so you put them back in the deck and you shuffle again and you pull new cards. I know that I am not the only person who has done this. I find it extremely hard to read for myself, and that is because I'm always trying to look for the message within the cards that I feel like I want to hear, or I end up letting my ego get in the way, whatever you want to call it. So that's definitely what happens when I end up pulling a card that I don't like in that moment, or that is just not the card that I want to receive. So I'd put it back and reshuffle and pull another one and hope that it's one that I like better. I definitely don't do that as often as I did, but I would be lying if I said that I'd never do it anymore. But I feel like as I grow as a reader, I'm learning that each card that's pulled is there for a reason. You are meant to see it, whether you know it or not in that moment, or whether you think that it has absolutely nothing to do with, you know, what you're asking the cards. Like, there's no way it has to be a mistake that I have received this card with this question. I'm definitely learning that it's not a mistake. You are meant to see the card whether you want to or not, and it has a message for you, and you should pay attention. Don't just, you know, disregard it and put it back and forget about it. It's there for a reason, so definitely listen. And number 5, last but not least, this is one that I don't do anymore. This is something that I thought of back when I first started tarot, which is assuming that each of the cards have a set meaning, and that's it. That's the only way that you can interpret that card. Obviously, I know now that that is not true. Intuition definitely plays a huge part in reading the cards. And yes, maybe the original meaning for that card resonates with that reading, and maybe that's exactly how you're seeing it, and that's totally fine. But if you are doing a reading and what you know the card means is just not, it's not working, you know, like that's, it's, you feel like you're meant to be getting a different message from that card, then that's okay. That was definitely something that I had to get used to. It's still something that I'm getting used to with trusting my intuition, but yeah, I definitely know now that that was a mistake that I made, and probably a mistake that a lot of people make in the beginning of their tarot journey. But yeah, it's definitely one that I don't make anymore. Even though I am always tempted to reach for the guidebook, you know, sometimes too quickly. I feel like it's more just as like a safety net, you know, like I'm afraid to trust my intuition, and that's the reason why I'll reach for the guidebook. But I know deep down that the card could be here to tell me something completely different from what the guidebook says. So yeah, those are my 5 mistakes, or tarot tisks, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, like I said, I'm definitely interested in hearing from you guys. Can you relate to any of the 5 that I listed? What are some of your own? Feel free to share them in the comments below, because I would love to hear from you. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you next time.